Hello everybody, my name is Josh and welcome to my October reading plans. I say that very particular way of phrasing because this isn't what I would call its traditional TBR. Rather, I'm giving myself a huge list of potential books to read throughout the month, and I'm going to sort of select the ones that are appealing to me, and I give myself some freedom. So I'm approaching this month very uniquely, where I basically have 4 weeks in the month, right? And I have 5 sets of books that are each themed around a certain idea that I'm going to be focusing on for the week. And my goal is to read as many as possible in a week. For each week, I have 5 potential books I'm giving to you that I might try and read. If I can get at least 2, hopefully 3, I would consider that a good week. I may end up reading 1, I may end up reading all 5. I highly doubt the last of that, but who knows? I'm approaching this TBR, more or less, this way so that I can give myself the freedom to, in the moment, decide this is what I want to do. So there is sort of a TBR, but more room for my mood to take lead. And I'm hoping by doing that, I will have myself a much better reading month this month, and I want it to be a good one because it's October. It's the most wonderful time of the year. So the themes, as they are the first week, I'm going to be focusing on horror books that are on my TBR. The second week, I'll be reading Lovecraft. This was originally meant to be a Lovecraft vlog. Maybe I'll do it. Let me know how you feel about that. I don't know if I have what it takes to do that. Then I have a week I'm going to be focusing on thrillers. And then I have a week where these are quote-unquote must-reads, basically a bunch of books that are fairly new or new to me, at least in my learning about it. And I'm just super eager to read it, whether I own it or not. And so, fuck it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. The constraint here is that I'm going to be focusing each week on the sets of books that I have here for those weeks. So let's start with each week. The first week of TBR Horror. The books I'm going to be selecting from. First up, The Hellbound Heart. This is the novella collection, I'm not sure, by Clive Barker that inspired the movie that is now getting remade this month. I think it's October 7th or whatever. And I'm really excited. It looks really good based off the trailer, and it also looks super sexy. I'm really excited to see a woman as the Hellraiser, as the head Cenobite, the pinhead basically. Next up is Tender as the Flesh. This is a book. That's all there is to say. This is a book, I think, about cannibalism. It's going to be gruesome, and I'm really excited to get into it. I've been wanting to read it for a while. Next up is African Immortals 2, The Living Blood. I read the first book of this series like 2 years ago when The Bookish Realm and Locked Petition and several other people basically did a group read of this, and I basically followed along from the outside. I enjoyed the first book. I wasn't head over heels for it. It's far from my favorite kind of review. But I need to try and get to it, and so if I'm looking at a TBR of horror books I need to get to, this is one of them. So I'm putting this on there, but given the fact that I have so many that I really want to read, will I get to this, prioritize it? I don't know. To be honest, the main reason I'm putting this on here because I'm also participating in Blackathon, which I forgot to say. If I end up reading this, it's because I want to make sure I prioritize Blackathon as well within my greater scope of the books that I want to read. Next up, Big Machine by Victor LaValle, another potential Blackathon candidate. This is one I don't actually know much about, and I'm kind of hesitant because it doesn't have much clout, I guess, on BookTube. But I do love Victor LaValle. He's yet to disappoint. I remember the last time I read one of his books, it was like it shocked me. Like I was expecting a good book, but when it gave me what it did, now it's like I have high hopes for this one, even though I know nothing about it. Next up, Haunted by Chuck Palahniuk or whatever it is. I've heard this is a really good, very scary set of horror stories. I didn't realize it was short stories until very recently. I thought it was a full long length story, and I can only take so much short fiction in a month, so that might be a reason I don't get to it. But given how much love it's gotten in the horror community, I kind of want to give it a try. Next up, that's actually all of them. I do have other books within these weeks, but I knew I had to focus on 5 of them. There's no point in giving you 20, 30 books I know I'll end up reading. The week 2 Lovecraft vlog, Lovecraft themed, which may or may not be a vlog. I already have another backlog of a vlog I need to edit, but we'll see if that happens. Either way, there were 5 priority books here. Yes. First one, The Fisherman, which is one I don't think you guys actually on my TBR. When I was deciding to approach my month this way, I figured, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to put all the books I want to read for Lovecraft in this collection and focus on the ones I'm most interested in and stop restricting myself to my TBR. The Fisherman, don't know what it's about. I just know it's got high praise as a very good Lovecraftian retelling. Next up, The Night Ocean, same thing. The cover is gorgeous. This is one that is on my TBR. That's all I know. Next up is The Dream Quest of Vallejo. This one's actually pretty short, so I think it's a good chance I'll get to this one, especially out of all these. But again, another one that has just a loose connection or some kind of connection to Lovecraft. I know very little about any of these books, and I'm okay with that because I'm very much appealed to the Lovecraftian cosmic horror that's involved in all of these. Next up is Lovecraft's Monsters by Ellen Datlow. One that I would like to get to, but again, I wouldn't say it's highest priority. For some reason, I think I feel myself getting more drawn to long fiction this month. We'll see how I feel. Maybe I'll give it a shot. And then finally, Occultation of the Stories. And this is one that doesn't get any clout, and haven't heard much about it. I just know I think it won the Shirley Jackson Award back in 2010 or something. And it's a set of short stories, I believe, by this one author. I don't know what it is. I think it's just the word occultation. It just seems super appealing to me for no real reason whatsoever. Honestly, I thought it was witchcraft when I heard occultation. I think I was thinking of occult, which isn't a word. Now that I know it's Lovecraft, I figured I do really want to read this for whatever reason, superficial it might be, and why not include it here? I realize now, so I'm not going to read short stories. Now I have 2 short story collections in this vlog, in this theme of a week. So what will happen? We'll have to wait and find out, I guess. Next up, thrillers. This week is a group of thrillers because I really need to read my thrillers, and I wanted to get some answers. So I figured dedicating an entire week to thrillers was a good way of approaching this. Plus, when it comes to books that are easy to read, I do think thrillers are that. Even books I don't like, they're easy and fun. So I'm hoping that this week will help me push through some fun books that I will have at least fun with, if not strictly enjoy. I find it very difficult to connect to thrillers in the way I do to other books. They feel like a caricature, which I know there are other books that I read that are definitely that. It's just something about thrillers that I find very difficult to see as realistic. And it's not that I need a book to be realistic. I love speculative stories. It's just I need to believe in that world, within the rules of that world, and I don't believe them. It's just I find it very difficult to get invested in a real way. With that said, we're going to start with a book that's a mystery more than a thriller, and it's definitely not something that I think would be considered within the thriller community on here on BookTube, but The Sparman by Mary Robinette Kowal. This is one that I'm actually including here kind of loosely because I just want to read this book. It's her newest release, and I ended up getting an e-arc for it from NetGalley, which I'm greatly appreciative of because I love Mary Robinette Kowal. She's in my top 3 or 4, top 5 authors at least. I'm really excited. It's a new one. If you don't know her, she wrote or is writing the Lady Astronaut series. Next up is Winter Counts, which is one I don't know much about. I just know I've heard good things about it. It's one that I think is a good chance I'll get to. Next up is One by One by Ruth Ware. I do want to read this. I want to read more Ruth Ware. I did enjoy that one Lock Heavy Door, whatever the fuck it was. But in retrospect, it wasn't as good as I remembered it in the moment. I think I sort of got caught up in the hype and didn't leave a lasting impression. So I don't know, especially considering the next book I want to kind of read is Aratat, which I think is more of a horror, but it's also a thriller horror set in a snowy mountain environment, which I think is what the One by One is. So I will almost certainly lend myself to this one of those books. I don't know which one. Next up is The Guest List. This is one that's just super popular. I figured it'd be fun and easy. Plus, I think it was a book that my stepmother gave me, so I figured I should go ahead and give it a read. And I'll leave it at that, even though there are other thrillers that are on my mind. And then finally, for the last week of October, the books that I'll be considering as sort of quote-unquote must-reads. First up, House at the Bottom of the Lake by Josh Malerman. One that I don't own because it's really hard to get my hands on a physical copy of this for some reason, for cheap. You might be thinking, is this really a must-read? It's nothing new. And no, it's not. It's just something I've been wanting to really read for the longest time. I haven't pulled the trigger. So I'm going to say, fuck it. I'm going to put it on this list and I'm going to have some fun. I just know it's something about a house. It's haunted at the bottom of the lake. And I remember hearing about it from books a while and other people as well, but that review particularly stuck out, and I really, really want to read this one. Next up is Into the Windwalked Wilds. Not a horror book, but it's a new release from Sean McGuire, aka A. Deborah Baker. The new book in the Wayward Children series, but the Up and Under series. And book 3 will be a T. Kingfisher book, and I haven't actually decided which one. I'm probably going to focus on the one that I own, The Hollow Places, but I'm open to What Moves the Dead and Nestle and Bone. And I haven't said it yet, but I very much could use advice on which books you think I should prioritize each week from these lists. Next up is Stephen Graham Jones' book. I want to read one of his new ones. I have Night of the Mannequins, probably not. My Heart is a Chainsaw, I really want to read because I want to read the second one when it comes out too. And then The Babysitter Lives, which is another new one that came out from him. And I don't know, I really love the blue cover for whatever reason that rich blue calls to me. And I love the idea of The Babysitter. Whatever that's referring to, honestly, I have no idea what it's about, but I do know Stephen Graham Jones. I know it's worth reading. Oh, I also have here again, Occultation of the Stories. So basically, this is another must read. If I don't finish it during the Lovecraft week, I'm going to allow myself to, continue it on into this week. So I think there's, I guess, a double chance that I'll get to it. And that's it. Those are the sort of 5 sets of books for each week that I'm going to be focusing on. Like I said, I would love some feedback, which books you think I should prioritize, but I just want to give myself a room to read a huge breadth of books. I have so many books I want to read, and I'm just reading so little now. And it's not that reading little is bad. It's just when I have so many things I want to read, and I'm not making time for it, it's just frustrating. Let me know your thoughts on what I should read or prioritize for each week. And let me know your thoughts, I guess, on this approach of having themed weeks throughout the month. I'm excited to approach it this way. But as always, hope you all have a great day. Stay safe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.